Heather Wilson is here. She's one of our Mom Squad members for today, and she's here because college can be a very overwhelming to, it can be very overwhelming to kids, and they may get swallowed up in the pressure to succeed. Even thinking about it, I'm already flustered. The Professor's Guide to Getting Good Grades in College has been written by Jeremy Hyman, who is here with some advice on how your kids can survive. You know, Jeremy, Heather and I were just talking, just even thinking about college, I have nightmares again of showing up in class and I don't know what I'm doing. So you've really broken it down to some kind of the 5 things that you should think about as you're entering college. So for all you parents who are having kids who are about to enter, and for all the kids out there, the first thing is pick the right courses. Well, how do we know what are the right courses?
It's really important to try out the course. A lot of times students come into a big state university, even a small college, and they're handed a standard program by an advisor.
Right.
It's really important they view the first week as a trial period. Go and see if you can learn from the professor, see if it's too hard or too easy, see if it fits your interests, if you have a passion for that, and then adjust your program.
What, so you can drop out of the class in that first week?
Often without penalty, maybe for a small fee, and without any stigma. A lot of students think that there's something bad about this. It's really, for most people, colleges is a very expensive purchase, and they really should try it out to see if they can fit in and if they can learn.
That makes sense, because if you show up the first day, the professor is boring you, you might not want to stay in it.
Right.
You're not going to do good in that class then.
Right.
So.
Okay. All right, so that was pick the right courses. We have a full screen here for the next one, and it's take excellent lecture notes. I did not do well in that. How do you learn how to take good notes?
The first thing you have to do is be prepared to take notes all the time. Most students think that they can phase in for a few minutes and then stop, kind of the way they're used to getting their content from their iPod. 3 to 5 minute gobbets. But really the way the professors have courses set up, usually there's 20 or 30 minutes in a gobbet. So it's really important to be engaged actively in taking notes the whole time. The other thing is you should always look for the structure in a lecture. Lectures, like TV programs, there are certain segments with certain connections between them. Often the professor will tell you straight out, will say, turning now to this point, or even the relation between this point and the previous point is this and this. So students ought to be writing the whole time and ought to be looking for the structure. They always ought to be asking themselves, why is the professor inserting this point in the lecture at this time?
Do your kids take good notes in high school right now, have you noticed?
Yeah, that's, I think, where we're lacking.
Well, I've heard that there's courses in teaching you how to take notes. I mean, have you ever thought about that for your boys?
They're getting a lot better. We just took a seminar this summer on, how to be more of a leader and how to be more of an active listener.
Yeah, that's part of it. Yeah, that's if you're not taking good notes, you're in trouble. Yeah. All right, number 3, anticipate all test questions. Yeah, I wish I could. How do you know what they're going to be?
A lot of times professors will drop hints, but a lot of times also they're exact documents you can look at. Sometimes professors give out study questions or study guides before the test. And a lot of times students think these are just general areas to think about or things to do if you have a little extra time. I know I had one student once who had gotten a C, unfortunately, on a final exam, and I asked him after, had you done the study questions? And he said, well, no, the study questions just said when the time was for the exam, the place. And you said in the lecture, Jeremy, that if you had some time, look them over. By which I meant you should spend a few hours doing each question in detail, often doing a trial run, trying them out under test conditions. But since I had set it in a code the way many professors do, so as not to frazzle the student had thought it was just something to do if there was extra time. So the main tip we would give is to try to actually try out the questions that are going to be on the test.
Okay, we have 2 more here I want to get through. Conspire with the professor. How do you do that?
This is one of the most important ones. Professors really would like to see you do well. Professors would like to see you get A's. The best vehicle for this is going to the office hour. Professors are required to hold 2 or 3 office hours a week, and if students don't come in, the professor just sits around.
Is that called schmoozing?
If the professor has friends at schmoozing, with the student it's a cooperative learning experience, a pooling of the resources.
I see. All right, and your last one, don't run out of gas. I think all kids run out of gas. At the end of the semester comes the final, and they're pooped out already.
Most of the grade in most college courses comes up at the end. There could be a test, a final exam. They could be a paper, perhaps a seminar presentation or a section meeting presentation. Students are running out of gas often in the 10th or 11th week, right as the grades are coming up to the fore. So we would encourage students to make sure they concentrate their efforts at the end of the semester. Also, by the way, if they can shed commitments. Sometimes, we were talking earlier about parenting. Sometimes you could get an older brother or sister, a father, a mother, mother-in-law, and anyone in the family to take over. Also, if you're active in your church, maybe that week someone else could serve the Lord.
Or maybe not go to too many frat parties. What about you, Heather? Do you have any questions for the professor because you have kids entering college? Any main concerns when it comes to...
Our biggest question lately, having a junior in high school, is, you know, like the SATs and when all of that comes up, because he's really concerned about taking those and, you know, how that coordinates with the college grades and how the tests go there.
We think that the people who do best at the SAT are the people who have very good analytical skills, not just people who've memorized a lot of words the way we used to do, get these big books of words to memorize, but students who know how to think, test hypotheses, who know how to read well. I know Lynn and I, my co-author, have an 8-year-old son, and already in second and third grade, you can separate out the students who are just preparing in our state for the Iowa test from those who are really learning how to think through and how to probe a problem. And in our book, Professor's Guide, a lot of the tips have to do with how to think more deeply than most students are used to doing.
That's what I always found, that there were some people who were just good test takers. I mean, I could answer anything if you gave me a test one-on-one, but when it came to that paper, I was like, oh, I'm confused. So anyway, thank you. Those are really good tips. So if you have somebody who's in college or about to enter college, come check out your book. And you're going to actually be at a book signing over at Changing Hands tonight. There is the book right there. And if you want more information on the book signing and the book, just go to our website or dial our hotline. I wish I had this when I was in college, getting good grades in college, the Professor's Guide. Thank you very much for being here.
Thanks very much. I enjoyed it.
Good tips. All right, coming up next.